Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. "3 months left to live." It was last year when you said that, right, Dr. Nanjo? I only spoke of what I could comprehensively determine from his physical condition at the time. As a result, this year too, it just so happens. So even though it's doubtful whether Dad will last until the end of the year, he's still totally focused on his occult research. And you still say he only has 3 months left, Doctor. Well, like I said, Kenzo-sans, shouldn't you be happy that a respected father is still in high spirits? Out of a sense of parental respect, each one of you is so eager to greet Father. I can see how upset you are that he's unwilling to meet with you. Considering that everyone has started aiming for the inheritance while the sun is still in the sky, I can understand why Father wouldn't want to see you. You've got it wrong, Natsuine-san. Dad isn't immortal. He'll die someday. We aren't telling him to die. We're just saying that he will die, sooner or later. We're just talking together about how to prepare for that. And that is precisely what is so disrespectful. Stop it. You'll make your headache worse. Kraus told Natsue, who had risen from her chair in agitation, to sit down. I'm trying to smooth over the atmosphere, which had suddenly become filled with suspicion. Hideyoshi put on a forced smile and motioned for everyone to calm down. Natsue-san, don't misunderstand. People say you should always clean up after yourself, right? We're just talking about seeing him off. We're discussing this so we can see Father off neatly when he takes off on the journey he's eventually going to make. Ha ha ha. That's just like you, Hideyoshi-san. Even though you're saying the same thing, you make it sound so intellectual. Yes, that's right. Unlike you, Nissan. Quit it. We aren't getting anywhere. So, like we're saying, Aniki, forget all this about the inheritance. I don't even care if Dad hits us. To make a long story short, we want to meet Dad directly and say hello, even if he says he doesn't want to. If he's locked up in his study, we don't care if we have to borrow a key from Genji-san. Right, Rosa? Oh, well, it's not like we're forcing you, it's just we haven't said hello to Father in such a long time. If his remaining life really is short, then there's a chance we might never be able to see him again. Today might be our final opportunity to exchange words with Father. That's right. Just like Rosa says, if he only has 3 months left, it would be odd for him to pass away any time. It wouldn't be odd any time now, right? Are you saying that despite that we don't even have the right to talk with him one last time, regardless of the circumstances? Isn't that just a bit too much? If greeting Father were truly what you wish to do, I'm sure he'd happily allow you to meet with him. But Father has already heard about the disrespectful topic you hope to raise. No one would want to meet with you under those conditions. The reason you cannot meet with Father is because of your own doing, and nothing else, is it not? Heh. Exactly. You shouldn't have to rack your brains to understand why Father doesn't wish to see your faces, right? Father has seen through all of your tight financial situations. What are you talking about? I don't have a clue what you're going on about, Nissan. Hehehe. Did you really think I didn't know about the state you're in? Ava and the rest realized that he had seen through to their current lack of funds, and alternating between bluffing and returning to the point at hand and arguing back, they repeatedly pressed Kraus to let them meet with Kinzo. The sweet smell of the black tea Rosa had gone out of her way to buy had been completely wasted. The only thing she was glad about now was that the children weren't here for this. The fact that they'd gone to play at the beach right after lunch had been their only salvation. Ava made as though to tackle Kraus, and Hideyoshi and Kyrie cut in between them, trying to calm both sides. Then Kyrie took a deep breath and spoke. I'm sorry, Kraus-Nissan. Again, I have to say Kyrie looks very much like Ivy from Soul Calibur. Also like Kaoru, Nagisa, or Nagisa from Evangelion. I know I'm an outsider, but I wonder if you'd let me say one thing. You know what? She also looks kind of like that VTuber, Sare. I know I'm probably mispronouncing her name. She does a bunch of cosplays. I have a proposition. What is it, Kyrie-san? First, and this includes my husband as well. And again, I have to say, she's very beautiful. I like her facial expressions, and overall I like her personality. Plus, she seems not only an interesting personality and a good person, but she's actually really smart and a deep thinker about things. Though at the same time, I feel like the main thing I would suggest to her would be like, oh, here's this band I like. Hey, you ever listen to A Perfect Circle or Smile Empty Soul? Hey, you want to listen to some Tool? Or, like, the new Halo campaign Evolved game when it comes out. I would actually like to play co-op with her. Lunar is now discussing things about a fictional character that does not exist. For many years, we have belittled the efforts you've made by living with Father and taking care of him. Isn't that right? Well, we've got it easy since we get to go outside, but Aniki's been babysitting Dad for decades now, and that must have been a lot of work. I'll accept that. But what's your point, Kyrie? We must acknowledge that Kraus-Nissan is Father's caretaker. Isn't that right? We've always feared Father, and have pushed the task of caring for him onto Kraus-Nissan. Everyone should acknowledge his efforts. Isn't that right? Again, I really like her face. Ava Nissan. And so what? Nissan is Father's caretaker. Don't decide things on your own, outsider. Hey now, calm down, Kyrie-san. What are you talking about? Kyrie, please continue. We should be more grateful towards Kraus-Nissan and not Sue-Nissan. We should thank them for always taking care of Father. It's our lack of gratitude that's to blame for these wasteful conflicts we keep having. Isn't that right, Krausny-san? I'm surprised. I did not think you, Kyrie-san, would be able to understand our efforts, which even my true siblings have not stopped to consider. It's a natural duty for the successor to the Kyriefornia family headship. That's right. It's your responsibility as the successor to the headship, isn't it? It's because you take care of father that we must acknowledge you as the successor. Hey, why are you bringing this up all by yourself? You're just an outsider. Wait a neke. That's right. It's just like Kyrie says. Because you take care of Dad, you're the successor, Aniki. It's just like you said. Oh. Rosa noticed, and then Ava did. Ava's barking demeanor towards Kyrie for advancing the discussion on her own disappeared in a flash, and she instead stared at Kraus and Natsui. Natsui couldn't understand that sudden change, and was slightly flustered. Krausny-san. If you'll accept just a few conditions, we won't ask you to let us meet Father again until he dies. Of course, we won't demand to be present at his deathbed. We wouldn't even mind being absent at the funeral. Oh? Where are you going with this? But I may as well listen for now. Let's hear your terms. First, the term successor to the headship refers to the caretaker of the current head, Kyriefornia Kenzo. And then? Second, the duty of the caretaker is to look after Kyriefornia Kenzo for the rest of his life. To make things simple, the caretaker's job is to care for him until his final moments. You were prepared to do that from the beginning, Krausny-san, so that won't cause any problems. Naturally. I have no objections to either of those terms. Again, do you guys say either or either? I am already carrying them out. Third, on the off chance that the caretaker is neglectful in his responsibilities of supervision, he shall be deprived of his rights as a caretaker. With that sentence, all slack disappeared from Kraus's face. Natsui alone was still having trouble figuring out what that meant. Oh, and just what are these responsibilities of supervision that the caretaker bears? It means supervision so that Father can live the rest of his life in the best possible health. I'll be more detailed than that. In the case that Father dies, anything other than a natural death, the caretaker will be deprived of his rights as a caretaker, and his status as successor to the headship will be lost. If that happens, the next highest in rank, Ava-ne-san, will be selected as the successor. But what did you say? How can you so shamelessly speak such nonsense? Ho ho! My, the caretaker certainly has a heavy responsibility. However, people can die in many ways. For example, senile old people sometimes die when food gets caught in their throats. Normally, this is called death by old age in its broadest sense. But with your argument, that becomes death by accident, and I bear the responsibility of supervision. This is unjustly disadvantageous to me. I have no intention of forcing such an unfair argument on you. I am referring to the kind of thing that the caretaker could have prevented beforehand by taking good care of and keeping his eyes on Father. It may be the caretaker's job to carry food to Father's mouth, but whether he swallows it or not is clearly outside of the caretaker's responsibility. I would have absolutely no problems with the example you raised, Krausny-san. Ho? So what kind of case are you referring to that might cause the caretaker to be blamed for making a blunder? For example, if he disappeared. Oh? It seems that right now Father is in firm control of himself. But dementia might begin to set in. He might wander around when you aren't looking and get into some kind of accident, or he might get lost in the forest and go missing. Wouldn't this type of case clearly be the responsibility of the caretaker? Father's mind is perfectly healthy. There is no need to bring up dementia. One day, suddenly I saw Father go into the forest. I chased after him, but I couldn't find him. I called the police and searched, but after being unable to find him after 7 whole years, I had him declared legally dead. My point is that we won't accept it if you use a story like that to treat him as dead. When Father passes away, an autopsy will certainly be carried out. And we will confirm that he died of old age, in the most general meaning, within the bounds of common sense. A death of any other cause will be held as the caretaker's responsibility. See? These are all things you have toiled away at all this time, Kraus-Nissan. These aren't strange conditions or anything of the sort, right? You are mocking us, disgracefully so. I find it hard to imagine why my husband must be coerced into a rule that disgraces him in this way. Actually, I've been suspecting it since last year. No, everyone here probably suspects it as well. Eva-Nissan and Hideyoshi-Nissan, Rudolph-san and Rosa-san too. Everyone has suspected it the whole time. But it was so frightening to imagine that no one actually said it. Humph. I see. So this is what you're trying to say. That Father is already dead, and that I have been hiding it. Ah. That's right. That's one of the theories I thought of as a key to solve the last mystery in the previous game. You mean the very last bit, the mystery of who killed Dr. Nanjo. That's right. The witch definitely said a lot in red. She mentioned the names of all 18 people and announced whether they were alive or dead, and then she claimed that there were no humans besides them. We also understand that in the situation of Rosa and Maria in the 6 before that, there was an issue of an accidental death that we never really clarified. And I also feel that the witch, Ava, tipped her hand too much and said 2 things in red that should have been an instant loss for the witch side, where she basically declared witches don't exist. And again, you said, oh, okay, that there's no one involved other than humans. I mean, okay, you literally just said there's no witches. That's the whole point of the game. But with this theory, I can weave my way through that gap. I see. So this is one of those answers that doesn't cause the two to contradict. Makes sense. See what I'm saying? You catch on pretty quick. It's nice that I don't have to explain. No 19th person exists on this island, and yet this trick lets us mix in an unknown new character. In other words, the names of all 18 people don't necessarily correspond to the 18 people on the island. That's it. The witch mentioned the names of 18 people one after another and announced whether they were alive or dead, and on top of that she announced that there were no humans other than the 18. There was a single illusion in there. It wasn't guaranteed that the 18 names of people equaled the 18 people on the island. When she named all of the 18 people and announced who was alive and who was dead, she hid the name of Culprit X and instead mixed in someone who wasn't on this island. By doing that, even though the culprit was on the island, she was able to leave him out of the list of the living or dead people. The person who was mixed in wasn't actually on the island, so he didn't count towards the total number of people on the island. By this, even though the culprit counted toward the total of 18 on the island, it was possible for his name not to be listed. The two statements in red, are completely independent, so this theory creates no contradictions. If someone's name was used to hide the existence of the culprit, that name must satisfy several conditions. First of all, even though this person isn't on the island, they've got to be someone we think is on the island. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to trick us. And it's best if this person happens to be dead. No alibi is more perfect than death. After all, at this point, the mystery was based on the fact that the crime was impossible for all 18 people. Is it something like that? Yeah, that's it. And that person was grandfather. Right now, there's only one thing Kyrie-san can be about to say. We thought grandfather was locked up in his study, saying that he didn't want to meet anyone. But there's a possibility that he's actually dead already, and that Uncle Kraus is lying when he claims that grandfather's alive. That's right, grandfather was closed up in his room the whole time, and no one saw his face. Maybe he was already dead, and Uncle Kraus and the others were conspiring together, trying to trick everyone. If Kinzo dies, the distribution of the inheritance occurs. However, if Kinzo doesn't die, no, if he dies, but it isn't announced, the distribution of the inheritance won't take place. In other words, Uncle Kraus could have all of grandfather's wealth to himself. That's right, he's got more than enough motive. Maybe a 19th person X really doesn't exist on this island. You know, this really does go against how Battler was seeing things in Game 1 and Game 2. Because he's definitely jumping on suspecting Kraus very quickly. But a person X existed, and that person was the 18th person. In other words, there were originally 17 people on this island, not 18. Then an unknown person X snuck in and committed the crime. How's that, Beato? Come out, I've just solved the final biggest mystery from the last time. As Battler claimed that forcefully, the crisp sound of clapping came out of nowhere, and the surroundings turned bright, becoming the usual witch's tea room. Cackle, haha, bravo, bravo. I wish I could deny that someone as incompetent as you has finally gotten a feel for it. But somehow or another, you've managed to come up with a single answer. Even a lump of concrete can stop thinking. So you have now finally evolved into a being with intelligence. You might say you've finally taken a step forward from the crying creature you were before, just licking my shoes and grinding your teeth. Cackle, cackle. I can't believe that stupid wordplay threw me for so many loops last time. My lameness pisses me off. Alright, Beato, repeat it. If you can announce that the 18 people on the island included grandfather, just try and do it. Yeah, you can't. Well, no matter what, this is still a win. If she can't, well then it opens up the option that it really was grandfather that's dead. But if she can, well, then the question is there anyone else that could also be in that category? Because he was already dead. This is the end of your deception. Cackle. Aha. Well now, what have we here? Shall I slice that in two with the red truth? No, it might also be good to hold back for now and let you get all excited. If I'm going to push you off a cliff anyway, it would be more interesting to lure you to a higher place first. Cackle. As Beato sneered obnoxiously, she looked like she was searching for an expression that would tick me off even more, as though she was saying that the answer I'd reached was impossibly ridiculous. Compared to me, annoyed as I was with the witch's attitude, Gretel had a blank and composed expression on her face. almost as though she'd expected the witch to act that way. I see. Just like how Battler has learned and grown, so has the witch. What's wrong, Beato? Don't act so tough. I asked if you can repeat it. Answer. Cackle. Stop it, Battler. The witch won't answer so easily. She won't do it unless she thinks it'll benefit her. What? What do you mean? You've been toyed with by this red truth in the games up until now, so the witch has used it many times. But now the situation is different. You're trying to draw the red truth out of her and are instead using it as your weapon. In this situation, there's no way the witch will keep firing off the red without reason, right? Gretel, or whoever you are, it seems your mind is quite sharp, unlike Battler's. What a fearsome enemy I've welcomed in. That's it. That is correct. When Battler hopes I'll use the red truth, do I have any responsibility to do so? No. I don't even have a crumb from that croissant you ate this morning's worth of responsibility to please you. You bastard. Yes, that face. That's the face. I started playing with the red truth just because I wanted to see that face. I have no reason to play around if it won't give me a chance to see you look like that. Heh, you just don't like losing, right? Just saying whatever you can to trick me because you can't answer my demand won't work. Don't be so full of yourself. An answer like that could be cut to pieces without any effort, but I won't go out of my way to speak in red. I won't say it because that's what you're asking me to do. Do you know why? You just said it. You want to push him off at the sweetest spot. This ill-natured witch is saying she won't use the red anymore because that's what you want. In other words, she won't go along with this game of telling her to repeat things anymore. Cackle. Exactly. Unlike Battler, everything goes quickly with this girl. With no need for explanations, I will say what I please with the red truth at the time that I desire. That's it. Basically, it's the witch's right to use the red truth as she pleases. She doesn't have to use it at all, or use it at whatever time the human side desires. But even that depends on the situation. The situation? What do you mean? The witch has no responsibility to respond when you tell her to repeat something, but it does become her responsibility if, and only if, your claim can destroy the witch theory. After all, in this trial court without a judge, that which is not refuted becomes the truth, just like how the witch theory made by the witch will instantly become truth if you collapse and stop thinking. Then, since she doesn't have a counter-argument for my guess, that means it's right. It's right that the culprit is the mysterious 18th person X, and Grandfather is already dead, at least until the witch argues back. Truth always loses to new truths farther in the future. The tricky part is that even the timing of the counter-argument is up to the witch. In other words, maybe your reasoning just now was correct, or maybe the witch is refraining from arguing back even though you're wrong, or the witch may be ignoring it because it doesn't shake the basis of the witch theory in the first place. But either way, we can't tell the difference at the current time. Is that more or less it? Annoying laughter of bitch noises. Damn you, Lady Burncastel, for throwing in such a troublesome piece. Thanks to that, I'm losing all my lines. The witch has learned that she can respond to your demands to repeat phrases at a later time. Maybe you could even call it a delayed move. She's messing with me, so even if I announce some mistaken reasoning, there's a possibility that Beato will intentionally let me flounder about without denying that guess. And at the very end, when I propose an even more massive line of reasoning, she can cut it off at the base and spin everything around. A single piece of reasoning becomes a bridge to the next piece. By demanding that she repeats lines, I've been able to strengthen my position and advance bit by bit. But since that bastard Beato learned this strange delay tactic, I can no longer confirm or deny my reasoning. This is like finally finding a staff that'll let me search around in the darkness, only to lose it right away. I'm just stuck now, right? Hey, Battler, if you make a despairing face like that, I won't be able to stop drooling, you see. From the beginning, that staff was nothing more than something I gave you because you were so worthless. All this means is that you can finally challenge me without a handicap, right? Annoying bitch noises. But that alone doesn't change the fact that demanding that you repeat things is one of Battler's ways to fight back. As I already said, as long as it's something fatal that'll destroy the witch theory, the witch is obligated to argue back, and therefore to speak with the red truth. While the timing of that counter-argument is up to the witch, it must be performed eventually. Isn't that right? That may be so. If I cannot deny the tricks done by humans' theory, Battler lays out by the time the game ends. Battler will use that as a reason to deny me, and it will be possible for him to proclaim his victory. So, should we view this as a restriction on the witch's side, that the trick theory laid out by the human's side, in other words, that what he tells you to repeat must be countered during the game, during the episode? That is so. Battler's goal is to show that he can explain the entire pleasant game I have laid out on this island with humans and deny me. If Battler succeeds in that, at that time he will become the victor of this game. Let me confirm the rules. Should we view the time the game ends as referring to 24 o'clock on October 5th, 1986, going by the time of the rock and dream of the game? I have no problems with that. At the time the game ends, the human side must state a theory using tricks for all of the mysteries, and if the witch's side cannot argue back, the human side can proclaim its victory. Does that work? Let us be more specific. When the game ends, the witch side will be given a chance to argue back. Let's decide on an amount of time. 1 minute. If you cannot carry out your counter-argument within 1 minute, victory will be proclaimed. Then allow me to impose the same rule on you. At the time the game ends, the human side will be granted 1 minute to counter the mysteries it has been given. If even a single mystery has not been countered within that time, it becomes the witch's victory and that game is over. It would be such a killjoy to have the game stopped for a lengthy consideration, right? You asshole. Moving things along without me. But I more or less get what's going on. Even if the lines I demand that you repeat aren't countered instantly, they've got to be countered eventually. Yes, that's right. And that must happen before. Okay, I understand having a short time limit, but 1 minute is not enough. How can you discuss anything in 1 minute? I would say 5 minutes minimum. 1 hour maximum. I think 20 minutes would be fair. 10 minutes at the absolute lower end, but 5 minutes absolute minimum. You can't say anything in a minute. But be careful. She only has to cut up one of the things you tell her to repeat. You can't proclaim your victory unless you solve all the puzzles. I feel like 1 minute, it's not enough because it would take that long just to say everything. Just as I can use the red, from now on I will allow you to use the blue, Battler. When explaining my magical murders with humans and tricks, you may state your claims in blue. I am responsible for countering your blue with the red by the end of the game. Blue. So I'll talk in blue when I tell you to repeat things. Not quite. When you told me to repeat lines, you were able to do it for any trivial thing, but the blue is a little more restrictive. Unless it by itself denies witches, it will not be valid. It's starting to get confusing, but it's more or less something like this. For example, let's take one of the riddles in the past where I asked her to repeat something. The actual number of master keys is 5. That had been to confirm that there really were 5 master keys when she claimed there were no more than 5. But since that by itself wouldn't deny witches, I can't say it in blue. So in order to speak in blue, I'd need to say something like this. The actual number of master keys was greater than 5. The culprit entered or exited the room with that extra key. Only then would the witch who claimed this was a closed-room murder made with magic be responsible for making a counter-argument. In other words, I can't demand that she repeat something that merely confirms the premises of my reasoning. That'll probably be a significant disadvantage for me. Crap. It's enough to make the red Beato used to toy with me until now look extremely merciful. Damn it. So even if I create a theory for a particular closed room and speak it in blue, if Beato denies it at the very end, I won't even have time to create my next theory. This rule is awful, horribly bad for me. Are you going to surrender before the fight begins again? Calm down. No one said you could only use the blue once for each mystery. Do you know what that means? No. What does it mean? In the pitiful way you've been fighting up until now, you've made a single theory, glanced at the witch's complexion, and if that one didn't work, you'd then start making another theory. You won't corner a witch like that. Then how should I fight? You don't mean... Yeah, that's right. You don't attack her riddles with a point. You assault them with a wall. You said so yourself in an earlier game that the force of your reasonings should be like that, assault with a wall. That's right, I said so myself earlier. Guessing and trying to expose the mysteries like trying to shoot a distant target with an arrow. Until now I've been shooting off arrow after arrow, asking the witch if I scored a hit, and then preparing my bow again once I'm told that I've missed. There's no way I'll hit at that rate. Bullets might be a better example than arrows. If you take one shot after another at a distant target with a handgun, you probably won't hit it easily. So how can you hit it? If a handgun doesn't work, use a shotgun. Instead of a single bullet, beat her down with a shot comprised of countless projectiles at once. Shot scatters, so it impacts a wide area. That makes it optimal for shooting small, fast targets like birds. That's right, there's no rule that says I have to guess like a pistol, shooting one shot off at a time. Making a single theory and just hoping that it hits is no better than stopping your own thinking. Blast away with a massive number of bullets of guesses and make them impact like a wall so that only one of them hitting the target is enough. Blue, huh? I get it. If your red truth is a razor-sharp katana, then it looks like my blue is a shotgun. No, a machine gun whose firepower will turn the witch into a honeycomb. I see, so it's an awkward gun that fires many shots. That sort of crude analogy is just like you. The climax of a detective novel is always the same. The famous detective gathers all of the suspects at once and displays a single trail of logic that works splendidly, almost like William Tell spectacularly shooting through an apple with a single arrow. That's why I mistakenly took that to be a virtue. It probably would be splendid if I could shoot through the truth of a single guess, but that isn't realistic. Look at real wars. Do they really have everyone pull long guns out of the trench, aim really well, and take shots at each other one at a time? No, life is not like a movie. They don't, right? They fire rapidly, they fire all over the place. They pin down the enemy with a barrage. Reasoning is the same way. Because of that weird virtue, I've been stuck, thinking it's better to take one line of reasoning at a time. We humans can fire off countless guesses and possibilities. The bullet is the power of imagination. Suspension of thought is a clogged barrel. The pathetic way I've been reasoning up until now is like a pea shooter. I have been so lame, weakly firing off shots, getting them denied and read, and then taking the next bullet and reloading. My blue truth, which claims that humans and tricks are what's real, will overpower its target, the illusion told by the witch with its firepower and the force of what I can imagine. This is my Kyriefornia battler's fighting style. Thanks to you, I've figured out my true fighting style. Thanks, Gretel. You're welcome. Makes me think of how pathetic I was before. Yeah, it's like Beato said, I've had a handicap up until now. I'll acknowledge that. New rule understood. I have my own way of fighting. I'll show you what. Bitch noises. That willpower is good. I like it. Then, try using it right away, this blue truth of yours. Yeah, I'll use it. With this blue truth, I'll break apart your witch theory, which states that only a witch culprit was possible because everyone had alibis. This is my truth. Kyriefornia Kinzo is already dead. Therefore, the true number of people on the island is 17. By adding an unknown person X to that, it becomes 18 people. By supposing that this person X exists, the crimes will be possible even if all 17 people have alibis. In short, if you keep preventing us from meeting with Father, we will have to accept the following theory. Simply put, Father is already dead. But you're hiding that because you don't want the inheritance to be distributed. Do you guys say distributed or distributed?